Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Reckless to Redeemed. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the mental health issues that kind of stem from our alcoholism and all the struggles that came with it. I was actually reading a scripture today, and it is Psalms 10:17, and it says, "Lord, you know the hopes of the helpless. Surely you will hear their cries and comfort them." And that's exactly what he did when Ashley and I were in our darkest moments. He went in and pulled us out when we cried out to him.
Yes, I absolutely love that scripture because it just is so close to my heart. And when it comes to mental health, since I was younger, I have dealt with mental health issues from having ADHD and being on multiple different medications. And it just seemed like my mental health was always going through the struggle. And I could never just get on board like everybody else and just find a medication that worked for me. And luckily, Jesus, showed me the light and showed me that I am capable of getting through my depressive episodes and my anxiety and PTSD and all of the things that many of us right now are struggling with. When I first had alcohol, I got this rush of, thrill, excitement. And since I have ADHD, my dopamine levels just spiked up really high. And I loved the feeling. And I know you can relate, Lizzie, because we both were just such party girls. And I had no idea
Mhm.
the facts of alcohol and how it actually affects your mental health very negatively. It's just so crazy to me because I was watching Andrew Huberman and one of his YouTube videos, and that's actually what made me realize the mental effects that happen from drinking alcohol and people who have that alcohol dependency problem. And it does so much to your body and brain. And people don't realize that the neocortex is affected, which is our reaction times and our decision making. Drinking actually thins the neocortex, and it also actually kills the good bacteria in our gut as well. So this whole time I was wondering, I'm like, why do I get so bloated? Why is it that, I carry all this water weight? Reality was, it was because I was an alcoholic. I love to drink. I drank almost every day when I was in my high peaks of my alcoholism. I just think that watching that video that he made and seeing the actual effects and how it damages the cells. And what's crazy is there's actually statistics that show that drinking and a large amount of alcohol cause breast cancer. I just think that's so crazy because I never knew everything that can come from just drinking alcohol, even just 1 to 2 days a week. It causes a lot of memory loss, anxiety, the depression, and it messes up your serotonin levels. So it takes a while for somebody. They say it can take 3 to 6 months just to get your cortisol levels to go back to normal. That's just crazy to me because, I think this is actually the longest time that I've been sober because I'm 5 months sober,
Mhm.
and I'm just so excited because I'm starting to feel like normal and I'm getting those natural doses of dopamine. And people who drink a lot don't really get that, which really can cause the depressive episodes, the impulsive decisions, and all of the things that go along with that.
Yeah, I feel like it's like insane because a lot of times, people will say, "Oh, I love coming home from work and taking the edge off with a drink." And like, I remember even when I was deeply drinking, it's like, you know, you and I with like social settings, we did not know how to be in social settings without
Yeah.
alcohol. And it was like it would relax us, it would calm us, and then I always remember I would make a fool out of myself because I was so hammered, and then I'd wake up the next day just I mean, anxiety attack, freaking out, trying to, like, relive the night, like, what did I say to people? How did I act? So realistically, I was just setting myself up for failure. I thought I was taking the edge off, but really I was just setting myself up to look ridiculous.
Right. And it's nuts because we would just fight with people when we were drinking. Like it was always like
Mhm.
one thing can set us off. That's why the enemy just attacks us when it comes to our drinking. And that's why we can have drinking issues. We have accepted that we have alcoholism because that's when the enemy attacks. And not everybody has these convictions. And I know I was talking to Lizzie earlier, she was having conversations about how her drinking is her own conviction, but some people don't get convicted of drinking. people shouldn't shame others just because one person wants to drink and one person doesn't want to drink.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I even think about with the whole being mean and stuff like that. I was thinking of a night, when my husband and I was very, very intoxicated, and I actually even took a broom to our window and broke out a window in our home. That is something I would never have done sober. I mean, that just goes to show you that, like you said, where your decision making is not normal, it's not right. That's exactly what it did. I don't even know what came upon me for that to have even happened. Some people, like you said, they handle alcohol very well. More power to them. I think that's amazing that they have that much self control. But see, our self control now is not drinking at all. That is where our self control comes from because we know what it does to us, how it makes us feel, how it makes us act. And it's nothing positive for us to ever. I mean, rarely do we actually have a good time where we can say that nothing bad happened that night.
Right, right. It's crazy because I've heard since I was a little girl, like family members having alcoholism and family members unfortunately passing away due to drinking too much. I never realized how much that does have an impact on you. And for me and Lizzie, we can drink all night. We can just keep going and taking shots after shots until we're passed out. I mean, we're going to keep going and we're just going to keep drinking. And even if we do get tired, we're going to just keep taking more shots. So studies have shown that that is because you have the genetic gene that people who are alcoholics that get passed down from their family members, from their grandparents to, their parents. They don't even take that seriously. Like I didn't take that seriously. If you just are looking for like a sign to see, I mean, that right there is a sign. And I know that like weight goes into it too. Like some people can drink more than other people and get drunk faster, like if you're smaller or if you're bigger. But if you can drink all night and you don't get tired and you can continue to drink, then you most likely have that gene, that's passed down. And unfortunately, me and Lizzie have that gene. I'm so proud of us, now that we're aware of that and that God convicted us of that. And I think that I would still be drinking here today if it wasn't for the grace of God and for me reaching out to Him when I was mentally broken down and at my lowest. And I'm just so excited. We're going to be talking more about my encounter with Jesus, more about postpartum depression, intrusive thoughts, and all the things, the dark stuff that people don't really want to talk about. We're going to be talking about in our next episode. But right now, we really just wanted to, spread awareness of mental health when it comes to drinking and the things that can happen. And I know everybody has the anxiety, and I know you just previously talked about that, but that is serious. I remember just drinking, I could drink 3 drinks and wake up and just be anxious, crying, out of sorts.
Me too.
Like my husband would be like, "What is wrong with you? Like, are you okay?" And I feel like it was 3 days. 3 days. I would drink on a Saturday, and then for 3 days, it would be like maybe Wednesday, I'd start feeling back to normal. And it's because my levels of dopamine, my cortisol, everything was trying to level back out. And then right back to Friday, I'm trying to get that fixed, and it's messing it all up again. It's like it just it was never ending for me.
No, I actually even remember, and it was the same way with me, is I could have a couple drinks and I would do nothing the next day. Like, I wasn't hungover. I wasn't even really super anxious or depressed, but it was like I just was in a funk. Like, I had no motivation. I just wasn't feeling myself. And that's why I just like got to a point where I was like, why do I keep doing this to myself? And I really, God was really making it pretty clear to me, like, I needed to give it up. And I just didn't want to. I was like, but God, I'm just having like one glass. Like, what's the big deal? I only drink like every so many months. I I was so unmotivated though. Like there was no motivation after drinking that one glass of wine. So I'm like, why am I even doing this to myself? Why am I putting myself in a funk? Like I am doing this to myself. Nobody else is doing this to me. I am doing this. And that's why I just like it was so freeing to finally get to the point where I was like, this is not going to have a hold of me anymore. It's not. I am taking control. I'm done letting the enemy win because alcohol in my life was a huge enemy. I mean,
You're
100%.
right. Mhm.
And so I was like, I'm done. You're not going to have me in bondage over this anymore. We out.
Right, and it's so crazy because they say, when you go to Christ, you're gonna lose people, this or that, and I feel like I lost so many people when I quit drinking in general. It was like they were like, "Why would you quit drinking?" And it's like if you ask a drug addict, which alcohol is a drug, so if you are an alcoholic or if you drink, you're doing a drug. And I think that they need to really educate people on that because I think everybody is no one's better than the other person if they're even doing, hard drugs and then drinking alcohol. It's all the same thing. We're all numbing something inside that we don't want to feel or because we're stressed. We don't want to deal with X, Y, and Z. And that's why we go to these substances. And that's the best part about Jesus is we're free. He broke the chains. I felt like I had shackles on, my legs. It's like I couldn't even walk towards my dreams because I was just blocked off. Like I it's just crazy the freeingness of not turning to a substance, especially somebody who smoked all the time, smoked marijuana. And now, Jesus broke those chains as well. But for me, it was just something Jesus like, you can do this. You have me, and I'm going to get you through it. Don't listen to what your past has told you, your history. That's long gone because you're going to be made new in Christ. And he was 100% correct. And I remember, like, when I first stopped drinking, I was like, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to actually not drink when it's normalized everywhere? And I told Lizzie, I'm like, it's hard to go to the gas station. It's hard to go to Kroger. You just see it. It's all over the place. I felt discouraged at first because I was like, I was very lonely, isolated. But that's what God wanted me to feel in that moment because I went to Him. I didn't go to the substances and other things during the hard times. I went to Him, I went to the Word. And resonate with Job so much in the Bible because I just feel like he went through so much and he kept his faith going. And God ended up blessing him two times the amount that he was planning on blessing him because he kept his faith regardless of the devil tempting him time after time again. And that's what the enemy does to us with alcohol. I'm just so grateful that we're not in those dangerous situations.
Yeah, I just remember that situation back when you got your DUI and we were sitting at that red light. We've been sitting there. It felt like for a while. It got to the point where we're just like, you know what, whatever. We're just going to run it. And we did. And then, soon after, here you are getting pulled over. The thing is like, thank God nobody was driving when we did that. I mean,
Yep.
how stupid of us to do that. We did not care because we weren't thinking. We weren't thinking clearly like, hey, there could be another driver. We were just like,
Hmm.
oh, let's live on the edge and not think, clearly.
We were just very impulsive. That's what happens. Our time reactions aren't going to be the same, when you're drunk. It's just not. So yeah, I went for it and I ended up in jail and it was a horrible, horrible experience. Unfortunately, that didn't stop my drinking. I was fiend for it. So I remember like sneaking out of my mom's house the next day after I got my DUI because I needed that fixed. And that's just how it was with my alcoholism, and that's just the raw truth of it. Throughout my life, it's not like I was just binge drinking the whole 15 years since I was 15 years old. I went through periods when I was pregnant and I didn't drink, but as soon as I had the baby, I would be like, I can't wait to just have a glass of wine, or I can't wait to start drinking, and it would just pick back up again. It was just a never-ending cycle of destruction in my life, and it makes us really sad because we see so many people, in the world that deal with mental illness and that struggle and are really like crying out for help. And that's what we want to do. We just want to be that light. We want to be the light of Jesus, the light that's going to show you guys that there's a way, even if it doesn't look like the world, you're going to stand out. Like, do not be afraid because God is with you and he's not going to leave or forsake you ever. People of this world will. That's just the truth of it.
Yeah, and it truly is an addiction. And so many people just they don't want to look at it like that. So many people only like to look at drugs as being an addiction, but truly there are so many people that struggle it's so accepted by society. And I think that it's almost hard for people to accept that you are telling them you're no longer a drinker. And it's really sad because you know how much support somebody that's getting off drugs, like they're getting so much support, like that's amazing, we're so happy for you. But then people that are alcoholics, they're like, hey, I've quit drinking. You would be surprised the amount of time that people question it. And they're like, well, why? Why would you give up drinking? You don't need to give up drinking. Just have a glass every once in a while. Just don't let yourself get drunk. And it's like, wake up. Like, I'm trying to tell
Yeah.
you something that I've had to do for me. Accept that and be like, hey, I'm very proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And here's the thing, if it doesn't matter what it is, if there is something in your life that is bringing you nothing but pain and depression, anxiety, and you can't let go of it, it's an addiction because you're not going to hold on to something that you can easily let go if it's not an addiction. You're going to be like, see
Hmm.
ya, I'm done with you. I think that's just where people need to be a little bit more mindful. It needs to be more understood that people struggle with this.
Right, absolutely. And I think that it's just wild to me because there was an event that I was invited to where I didn't really know if I wanted to go because I was trying to not really drink anymore. I was trying to slow down. Our faith journey started probably 6 months prior to that event happening. I battled a little bit, drank a couple times during that summer, but I just couldn't get myself to go because I knew I was putting myself in turmoil, especially coming from somebody who struggled with alcohol as bad as she did, struggled with lustfulness, and I just don't make good decisions when I'm drinking. So I decided I wasn't going to go. When I told this person that I wasn't going to go because I was trying to stop drinking, they were just shocked. They were like, "Can you just go and not drink? Like, it's not going to be that hard. It'll be fine. Like, you're going to be fine." And they weren't understanding. I just kept looking at them like, I have an alcohol problem and I'm trying to quit drinking. And they just couldn't see past their self. They just wanted me to be there. They didn't care that it had to do with my alcoholism. So I decided to not go to the event, which I'm very proud of because coming from a
Yeah.
people pleasing background, I was not wanting to hurt anybody's feelings, but I had to put myself first. And I knew that the path that God had me on, He was giving me discernment and He was like, you should not go. I just thought that was crazy because it's like, if a heroin addict was, going into a house full of heroin, are you going to be like, oh, you'll be fine, just go ahead, just don't do
Hmm.
it? It's the same exact thing. The temptation is still there. And I think people need to really understand and normalize that if someone isn't trying to drink anymore, like support it just as much as you would support any other addiction. And just all we can do is be there for that person because us being able to not depend on anything else but putting our hope in Jesus instead of, these worldly desires and things like that, it's just not going to get you anywhere if you continue to minimize the issue.
Yeah, and I feel like with the whole like people pleasing, my mom had told me this one time, and it's really stuck with me because I feel like this is also something I have struggled with. She said, "You need to stop being a people pleaser and you need to be a God pleaser." And I
Yes,
feel
I
like
like that.
yeah, it's such a powerful statement because truly, God would not have wanted you in that situation. Let's be real.
Hmm.
And yes, is it hard hurting people's feelings? Absolutely. But there does come a point where you have to take into account your mental health. And if this is going to risk, you messing up, you backsliding, you feeling distant from God, whatever it may be, then you put that first and you say, hey, you as my friend are going to understand the situation. And the thing is God knows you through and through. He knows that's hard for you to say no to people. But the thing is you're going to be rewarded for that. And when you're obedient and you follow the things that he wants you to do, he is going to bless your life.
Yes, just like in scripture, Psalms 23:4, even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close to me. Your rod and staff protect me and comfort me. I love that because through all the trials and tribulations in my life, God was right by my side, even when I wasn't even reaching out to him. He was there protecting me. So many situations when we were drinking and when we were not, that God had his hand over us. He was like, your purpose is here. And now we're out here living out our purpose as sisters in Christ. We're just so excited that we're able to share the knowledge that we have and God's love with you guys. We don't want to come off as we're being like judgy or anything like that. We just are coming from a loving place who have been at the bottom and who have felt completely unworthy and like we'll never be able to make it in, this world. The thing is this is just a small part of our chapter. We have eternity with the Father where we're going to be, in mansions that he's creating for us right now. Like I can't even fathom like that's how much he loves us. He wants to make sure that we are more than rubies and just everything that he gives us and blesses us just here on earth. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in heaven.
You're
And it's
making
just
me
going to be,
tear up.
oh, it's just going to be so beautiful. It really is.
Yeah, I think it's so beautiful, like, when I look back on my life and some of, like, the darkest and hardest times of my life, I can truly now see God with me through those moments. And I would have never imagined that, but it's so crazy how much He has just watched over me and how many times that I probably wouldn't be here, you probably wouldn't be here, but yet He knew we had a greater purpose, and He was like, "You guys just wait. You wait for what's to come." I just feel so blessed. I every time we do this, I'm so overjoyed with gratitude towards God for giving me such an amazing best friend and for
Oh,
just restoring our lives and doing it
yeah.
together so that we can do this together. And I feel like we say that every episode, and we probably will continue to say that every episode because it's
Right.
true. I love you. I love our friendship. We love all of you. Even people that may not know us personally, we love you and our hearts are out here for you. And anybody can always feel more than welcome to reach out to us. We would love to talk to you personally if you have more questions that maybe we're not answering on here, because this is what we want to do. We want to help people. We want to help people find hope, and hope is only going to be found through Jesus.
Yes, I know. And we just want to share our love for Jesus and be the vessel for God. That's what we are here for. We just want to bring as many people with us. And I know they say the road is narrow, the path to heaven. And we want you guys right along with us. That's why we do these episodes in hopes to spread the light. It is a dark world out there. And we see it in schools these days, and I'm at the point where I will end up pulling my kids from schools if it continues because there's just so much evil in the world right now. And I just want us all to gather up together, just find the love, like we know what Jesus's love is. We felt Jesus, we've had encounters with Jesus, and we want you guys to experience that too through our darkest times, that's when we had Jesus. That we actually saw, Jesus's face. And that's where we're going to go further on into our postpartum depression that we both had to go through and intrusive thoughts, which is absolutely horrible. It's the hardest thing that we had to go through, but it is real, it is raw. We just want to share it with you guys and let you guys know you are not alone.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty amazing that we both found Jesus. Both of our encounters with Jesus was when we were going through postpartum depression. It's like he
Mhm.
used such a sad, hard time in our lives and turned it into something beautiful. So we are really excited. We hope that, any moms or soon to be moms or even soon to be dads
Yep.
get something out of that. Like, men, you need to listen to this too because you need to understand that your wife is not crazy, okay? And I think sometimes it's easy for even us. I mean, there's parts that I was like, I'm going crazy, and she's not. It's just a part of the process of, having a baby. And I feel like you guys could also benefit from that. So don't feel like you're being left out on the next episode, okay?
Yes, it'll give you, the warning signs to look out for too, to make sure that you are aware of those signs. We want to be able to spread that awareness because it is so real and it's a scary time for a lot of moms and for a lot of dads too to have to watch their partner go through something like that. So that's what we're here. We just want to let everyone else know that they're not alone. And if you are, experiencing postpartum or depression or anxiety, that there is a way to get through it. And it's just right here in the Bible, the book of truth. It does not lie.
Mm.
It is real, it's supernatural, and it's a beautiful stepping stone to get you in the right direction. So we are so excited to be able to talk to you guys next episode and be able to talk about the raw truth of postpartum, how God brought us out of the darkest times of our lives.
Yes, so we will see you guys next Wednesday. We love you all. We hope you all have such an amazing week.
Yes, love you guys. Bye.